It's Anne here on the Life LDC couch. Thanks for joining me. This is a knitting podcast, mostly knitting, sometimes crocheting, and every once in a while I might get into something else, but mostly knitting. So thank you for joining me here today. February has been horrendous. This is my February update. It's been freezing cold. We have tons of ice here. The deck is still covered where the dogs go. The dogs go up the deck. It's still covered in 2 inches of ice, except for a couple of places where, for our own safety, we had to chip it off so we could get in and out and get the dogs in and out. I always find February sort of a blah month anyway, because you're getting tired of winter by this point, and you just want things to be over. So it's at the end of the first week in March when I'm recording this. There are signs of spring. When I feed the birds, I can hear different birds that I haven't heard all winter. And so I'm very excited that spring is on its way. So February was a sad month for me because I have always loved Karl Lagerfeld. And I knew he was getting on, and I knew the day was going to come, but I still was surprised and shocked when I opened my iPad to read the news in the morning and Karl Lagerfeld had died. So today I dressed up in honor of Karl Lagerfeld. I put on some pearls, put on some earrings. I haven't worn earrings for years, put some hairspray in my hair, and this is my homage to Karl. Thank you, Karl, for all the inspiration over the years. When I was young, when I first started work, one of the things that I always did was I bought Vogue magazine, the September issue in particular, because it was always full of beautiful fashion and inspiration, things that I never ever anticipated that I could buy, but I just loved to look at. And you might wonder, what's that got to do with knitting? Well, you get lots of knitting inspiration by watching the designer collections, and Karl Lagerfeld's Chanel collections are always a source of inspiration, I'm sure, for a lot of designers. I know that I get uplifted when I watch one of his design collections. And the most recent winter one that just showed up on the Chanel channel the other day, the last one that Karl himself worked on, was beautiful. It reminded me of the 70s when I first started work. Long coats, big checks, huge trouser pants, like really wide flowing trouser pants. I had the most gorgeous plaid suit when I was young. Sounds crazy, but big men's trousers, long to my knee coat. I always felt like $1 million when I wore that suit. It brought back so many memories. One of the reasons that I've always loved Rowan magazines is because you can see that they follow the sort of the trends, or maybe don't follow the trends, but they're inspired by designer fashion. And even though maybe I haven't knit those designs, I still get a big kick out of looking at them and thinking, gee, wouldn't that be wonderful? But I've always sort of knit things that I think are wearable, that suit my wardrobe, that I'm going to get lots of wear out of, because obviously you're spending a lot of money on yarn, and you're spending a lot of your precious spare time knitting. You want to come up with something that you're going to actually wear. And I agree with that. But I'm also thinking, gee, you're getting older. Why don't you just knit something that you want to knit because you just want to knit it, never mind whether you're going to wear it or not. So this has been sort of a yin and a yang conversation I've been having with myself all month. And I have to say that this month, the practical side came to the forefront. Being a denim person, I wore black pants today in honor of Karl, no denim. So, but being a denim person, a hoodie is something that I would love to have haven't had one for years. And so when the Denim Revive collection came out, I cast on for a hoodie. But before you cast on, you know what I'm going to say here, don't you? Before you cast on, you must swatch. It's a big investment. Purchasing the yarn is a big investment of all the time you spend knitting. And I'm always amazed at people who don't want to swatch. So I would say my first swatch really was my hat. So this was done using double pointed wooden needles. The stitch gauge and the recommended needles for this yarn is 3.75 for general knitting. So the stitch gauge was fine, but the row gauge was tight, possibly because I was using wooden needles, who knows. So this could not be my gauge swatch. I had to go on and continue and do gauge swatches. So because this had been knit on 3.75 and I got the stitches but did not get the row gauge, I decided to go up to a 4 because I know that you can change sizes. Your stitch gauge might not change, but your row gauge will. So I went up to a 4 and I did this on a circular knitting needle, and the stitch gauge actually went down a little bit. And I thought, that's not good. So swatched again. So I got my straights out and did another swatch on 4s. Better. Row gauge was better, but the stitch gauge was too loose. And you can see it. It's a flimsier fabric, and I'm going to be wearing this a lot. So, and all these swatches have been washed, by the way. So my last swatch, I went back to the 3.75s, straight needles, did this swatch, and it's absolutely perfect. So it pays to swatch. So with the proper swatching done, I was prepared to cast on and on my signature straights. So my project of choice is Bondi. I wanted to do Bondi, which is the women's hoodie. It has garter stitch bands on the front and a 2x2 rib on the sleeves and the bottom. It has no pockets. Wow, geez, look at this one. This one is the Barton design. And it has a ribbed front, and it has pocket openings, and it has ribs on the bottom and sleeves. So I thought, gee, maybe I'll just do Barton. But I made that mistake before. Barton is designed for a man, and if you look at my Shetland jacket project page on Ravelry, I made the Shetland jacket men's version rather than the women's, and the shoulders are different. The arm scythe is different. The depth of the sleeve under the arm is different. And I did my comparison. And so what I've decided is I'm going to follow the Bondi pattern, but I'm going to take details from the Barton and put pockets in mine and have a ribbed band, front band. So then the big question came, what color? What color should I use? So yes, the question of color, always a hard decision. So I looked at my wardrobe thinking, you know, I want to match it up to what I wear in the summer. Now, I'm a denim person, but I do have really light fabric denims for the summer, and I wear cream or sort of off-white. So I decided on these two, and that's cream and Air Force. But I also ordered Air Force and Night for a very dark version. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to knit two. I'm going to knit a Barton for the hubby, and I'm going to knit a Bondi for me with Barton, touches of Barton. Now, I'm hoping that because the hubbies is going to be not quite so drastic striping, that we won't run around looking like a pair of goofballs in our striped hoodies. But mostly we're going to be wearing these while we're lawn bowling, because we are big lawn bowlers in the summer, and those mornings are a little bit chilly when you first get to the club and you haven't warmed up yet. So I really got to get going on these because the season starts the third week in May, weather permitting, Canadian weather permitting, and if the greens are ready and all that. So that's my plan. So I did cast on a sleeve, and I was hoping to have it in progress on the needle here to show you, because I just love my signature 3.75s. They're beautiful blue, and the whole project looks spectacular on the knitting looks spectacular on them. So if you're interested in catching up on my sort of daily updates on my progress, I've started Denim Revive highlight on my Instagram page. So I put it into stories. I put the update into stories, but stories disappears after a while, I think. I'm not sure. It seems to be hanging in there. But then I'm also putting it right on my page, my Instagram page, as a highlight, one of those little circle highlights. All this is new to me. I had to figure out how it worked. I had to call reinforcements from my friends. I had to get information from my friend's 13-year-old daughter how to do this, because she does it. And I just didn't know if it was going to work. And I did one this morning and I got a little bit confused, but I'm getting better at it. So I'm going to be doing that. So if you'd like to keep up to date on my Denim Revive project in between YouTube updates, if you like it, if you like that kind of approach, let me know, because if this works out, I will continue to do that. I've sort of decided that I need to streamline my social media, my social media network. I don't dye yarn. I don't design patterns. I am a knitter. I'm a knitter of a certain age. I'm already technically a senior. I don't feel like a senior, but I am a senior, and I've been knitting for a long time. So I would like to focus more on the knitting and less on the social media. So while I do, but I also do love the challenge of trying new things. So that's why I decided to do YouTube last year, and I sort of like chatting here, because this makes me think that I'm chatting with all of you, the group that actually watches, and I love to have conversations with you in the comments below. And I know that I'd like to continue doing this, so I'd like to sort of focus on YouTube and Instagram. My Facebook page I am not as enamored with for my personal knitting, but what I do put on my Facebook page are things that catch my eye. And one of the things I posted just the other day was about wool, sort of the history of wool production in Yorkshire. And one of the things that really struck me in that report was, did you know that the Queen, like Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth's beautiful maroon colored limousine, all the upholstery is leather except where she sits, and I'm assuming where Philip sits also beside her, but where she sits, it is wool. Now you would never notice that because it's exactly the same color as the leather in the rest of the car, a very pale light cream. And I was sort of intrigued by that, because it's because of the wicking, the moisture wicking, and the temperature control benefits of wool is why she sits on wool, because she's in that car a long time. And I thought, I sit on this leather couch all the time, and sometimes I do find it a little bit hot. You've been sitting here for a long time. When you're in one of those knitting fetish, when you're fiendishly knitting and it's just another row, and you really need to get up to do something, get a glass of water or go somewhere or whatever, but you don't. You are just wanting to do another row. So I decided to put a woolen blanket underneath me. I just happen to have a cream one, just like the Queen. This is actually a big woven, I think it's like a shawl, or it might be a table throw, I don't know. Anyway, I bought it at a craft fair years ago. It's been in my closet. Now it's on my couch. I love it. I move it to the seat that I want to sit in, and I must admit, it makes a huge difference to sitting for any kind of extended period of time on the couch. I tried to give Daisy a woolen blanket to lie on, and she ends up digging it up and pushing it off the couch because she doesn't like it. She likes the coolness of the leather. So each to their own. So as I said, I was hoping for you to see this actually while it was still on the needles, but I found that this is quite simple. So I can knit and read at the same time. Not, not heavy, intense books like, let me see. You can see back there. That's my pile of Christmas books. The latest Anne Cleeves, the last in the Shetland series, and Ian Rank, and a Peter Robinson, and the Robert Galbraith, the third, and I thought perhaps final book of the Strike series that J.K. Rowling wrote. I finished them during Christmas, January, February. They were done, and a friend, a fellow lawn bowler, told me about she said it was a sweet series, and it's called Antidimity. And it's not murder mystery. It is a little bit mystery, but it's not murder mystery. There's a little bit of, well, I can't tell you what's in it, but there's a little bit of cuteness in it. And she has a little teddy bear. Not a teddy bear. She has the heroine of the story has a little rabbit. I actually meant to bring my Benjamin Bunny and sit him up here because it would have been cute. He might make an appearance in a future video. So anyway, she told me about the Antidimity series. There's 23 of them. I thought, cute. And I thought, great, 23. That's a lot of knitting time. So I went on my library app, and the library didn't have it in hard copy, but it had it in electronic version. So I can use my iPad, prop it up, and read while I'm doing my straight rows, as long as I remember to change the color every 2 rows and do my increases. But the stories are sort of, I wouldn't say simple, but they are sweet. They're nice stories. There's a little bit of, frisson here and there. But they're cute stories, and you can read and knit at the same time. So I'm on book 3, and I'm just going to keep going on that. So that's why my sleeve got done in I think 2 days, 2.5 days. And there we go. So this is my first sleeve. This is mine. And I think that it will be rather swish. The length is perfect. So when I compared patterns, the men's version, the sleeve is 2 inches longer to the underarm, and it's also 2 inches longer in depth here. So if you're thinking the same thing as me, that you would really like that, you like the details of that Barton design, but you want to knit the woman's size, it's not a problem. Just follow the Barton striping and do your increases and everything per the Bondi design, and everything will be fine. There are a couple of other little tweaks I'm thinking about applying to this design, and I'll tell you about them later as I get there. So my next step is to repeat this, knit another sleeve, and then I will go on with the back. Another thing I tried this month, because I am into trying new things. I've been knitting Fair Isle for so long, and people keep saying, oh, Fair Isle's so hard. Well, I don't find Farrell hard at all. It's very structured. It's, you know, you've got a chart, you know exactly what you're doing. There's no, to me, it's simple, and I keep telling people that, but okay. So anyway, one of the things I've been wanting to try, because it's the hot stitch, everybody's doing it, and it's brioche. So I looked into the Rowan pattern books and I looked for a brioche pattern, and look what I found. I don't have the magazine here, so I will insert a picture over here. And it's a pattern by Lisa Richardson, a brioche, very slouchy hat. You can also, there's also a beanie version and a scarf to match. Well, I sort of like the look of the slouchy hat. It is designed in hemp tweed, which is an Aran weight. And I thought, well, I have some hemp tweed in my stash. It's assigned to something else. It's earmarked for something else. Oh, I've got some felted tweed Aran. It will be fine. It's just a hat. You don't have to swatch. Famous last words. Remember, I'm always telling everybody swatch, and here's Anne, the pro swatcher, who just merrily cast on without doing a swatch. Well, I know it's supposed to be big, but this is like rather huge. It's rather heavy. It's not going to have the drape that the hemp tweed had, because hemp tweeds, I have swatched with it before for another sweater, and it's absolutely gorgeous, the drape on it. This is quite, it's got a handle to it. Brioche is so squishy. I'm also thinking when it washes, it probably flattens out, so this is going to make it even bigger. So let me see, is there a seam on this? Like done in the round. Yes. Don't laugh. And I know it's supposed to be big. When you look at it on the design, it's very slouchy on her, and it's supposed to go back and slouch at the back. So I'm not sure, should I finish this or not? It might shrink in a little bit with washing. I don't know. Remember those cute reversible project bags I showed you? I picked them up at the Little Grey Sheep open house in December after I'd been to the Marie Wallen retreat up in the Lake District. And I love those reversible project bags. They were made by Melissa, who calls her company Miggy and Mel. She didn't have an Etsy page, but she has now created an Etsy shop, and I encourage you to go over there and check out her projects bags. They're really adorable. So I think that's all for today. I've had as I said, it's been a tough February. The poor dogs have been going out and freezing their little feet off on the ice. Doesn't stop Daisy from crazily. She just loves to snowplow through the snow. I clean the deck off. It gives them a place to run around and play, and gives them a path into their doggy pit around the side of the house. But she always, if I leave any snow out there, she finds it and she rolls in it. Blackie, not quite so much. He likes to go out, check his perimeters, and come back in again because it's cold. So I think that's it for me today. That's it from the Life LDC couch, and until next time, happy knitting.